In a world that constantly demands attention, visibility, and validation, there are still those who choose not to participate in the endless stream of digital noise. They remain unseen, not because they are invisible, but because they choose to be. Their decision to remain silent on social media is not an absence, but a statement that speaks volumes about the human need for privacy, mental space, and authenticity. Every scroll, like, and share on social media builds a world of constant comparisons, fleeting interactions, and performance. We are conditioned to present a polished version of ourselves, measuring our worth by the number of likes and followers we accumulate. But for some, this digital theater is too much. They opt out, not as an act of rebellion, but as a choice to protect their emotional well-being. And it's this choice that invites us to pause and reconsider the true cost of our online existence. You see, the people who don't post on social media are not disconnected. Rather, they are profoundly connected to themselves, to their immediate environment, and to the world in ways that may seem subtle but are far more enduring. While the digital world continues to invade our minds and shape our behaviors, these individuals remain anchored in a reality where their sense of self is not defined by algorithms or the opinions of others. Their silence is not a void. It is a conscious reclaiming of personal space. Behind this silence lies a deep psychology, a blend of self-awareness, autonomy, and the quiet courage to reject the societal pressures that social media amplifies. Their decisions are informed by a need to preserve their mental health, safeguard their privacy, and resist the overwhelming tide of digital culture. This is a journey into understanding the psychology of those who don't post on social media, and why, perhaps, we could all stand to learn something from their choice. As we dive deeper into this topic, I invite you to reflect not only on the behaviors of others, but on your own relationship with the digital world. What does your online presence truly say about you? And what might you be missing by constantly chasing digital affirmation? Let's explore the unspoken side of the social media debate, the people who quietly choose to stand apart, and the powerful psychology behind their decision. Number 1. The quiet rebels, rejecting the social media norm. In today's society, it's almost impossible to imagine life without social media. Every day, we're inundated with updates, notifications, and stories from friends, celebrities, influencers, and brands. Social media has become so deeply woven into the fabric of daily life that it's often seen as the norm, an essential part of being seen, heard, and engaged with the world around us. So, when someone chooses not to post, not to share their thoughts or experiences online, they inevitably stand out. But rather than being an outcast, these individuals are something else entirely. They are quiet rebels. There's a deep psychological phenomenon at play here. One, rooted in resistance to conformity. We all know the pressure to belong, to fit in, and to be seen as part of the crowd. It's natural to want to feel accepted, to share our lives, and to engage in the same social rituals that everyone around us participates in. Social media offers that chance. If you're not posting, if you're not sharing, you risk being left behind. Yet, for some people, this pressure is not only unnecessary, it's suffocating. They see social media not as a tool for connection, but as a system that demands performance, conformity, and constant visibility. The psychology behind rejecting this norm is rooted in a profound sense of autonomy. Autonomy, in its simplest form, is the desire to be self-directed, to make choices independent of external pressure. For those who avoid posting on social media, Their decision is an act of reclaiming control over their own narrative, rather than allowing algorithms and followers to dictate the value of their thoughts, experiences, or even their self-worth. They take a step back. They assert their right to control when, how, and with whom they share their lives. This resistance often stems from a rejection of the very concept that social media promotes, that our value is directly linked to our visibility. To those who choose not to participate, the idea of constantly putting oneself on display seems not only unnecessary, but unnatural. Why should anyone's worth be measured by their number of likes or followers? For them, true connection is not about clicks or shares. It's about deeper, more personal interactions that aren't broadcasted for public consumption. But it's more than just rebellion for the sake of rebellion. The decision to reject social media norms is an expression of self-respect and psychological well-being. It's a declaration of independence from a world that constantly demands attention. And in a society that thrives on constant validation, choosing silence over noise is a quiet but powerful statement of self-worth. Number 2, social media and the fear of judgment, a silent shield. For most of us, social media has become a stage where we constantly seek approval. Every post is a performance. Every picture, a curated moment meant to be evaluated, scrutinized, and judged. We scroll through our feeds, comparing ourselves to the carefully constructed lives of others, measuring our worth by the number of likes, comments, and shares we receive. Yet, beneath this constant validation-seeking behavior lies a powerful and often silent fear, the fear of judgment. It's this fear that often compels people to remain invisible on social media. The psychology behind choosing silence over exposure is rooted in the desire to protect oneself from the harsh realities of judgment. In a world where everyone's opinion is just a click away, the anxiety of being judged can feel suffocating. The thought of having every action, every word, and every moment scrutinized by hundreds or even thousands of people is enough to make anyone retreat into the safety of silence. For those who avoid posting on social media, this fear of judgment becomes a shield. By choosing not to share their thoughts, opinions, or experiences online, they protect themselves from the potential hurt of public criticism. When we post, we open ourselves up to be analyzed, praised, or worse, ridiculed. Even the most innocent comment or photo can invite negativity, unsolicited opinions, or outright bullying. This is especially true in a world where people often hide behind the anonymity of a screen, unleashing harsh judgments with little to no accountability. But opting out of social media isn't just about avoiding negative feedback. It's also about maintaining a sense of emotional safety. Without the constant stream of opinions, there's room to breathe. There's space to be yourself without the pressure of performing for others. The people who don't post on social media often find that their mental and emotional health is better off when they aren't constantly exposed to the judgment of others. They can build their self-worth based on their own internal compass, rather than the external validation that social media thrives on. In this sense, the choice not to post becomes an act of self-care, a way of setting boundaries in an otherwise boundaryless world. It's a refusal to subject oneself to the constant judgment that social media often invites. And for those who choose this path, the peace that comes with the absence of online judgment can be immeasurable. It's a way of shielding oneself from the harshest critiques, not just from strangers, but from the internal voice that tells us we need others' approval to feel worthy. Number 3, digital detox, the desire for mental space. In today's world, information flows at a relentless pace. With every scroll and swipe, we are bombarded by news, opinions, advertisements, and updates from the people around us. It's easy to feel overwhelmed, even exhausted, by the constant flood of digital noise. Our brains, designed to focus on one thing at a time, are now asked to process a never-ending stream of distractions. And this overstimulation takes a toll on our mental well-being. For those who choose not to post on social media, this decision often stems from a deep-seated need for mental space. They understand that while social media connects us to the world, it also drains our cognitive energy. Constant exposure to new content, constant checking for notifications, and the incessant pull to be up to date can create a sense of mental fatigue. It's not just about avoiding the pressure to post. It's about stepping away from the noise that makes it difficult to focus, to think clearly, and to live in the moment. The concept of a digital detox has become more than just a trend. It's a necessity for many people in our hyper-connected world. When we choose not to participate in the endless cycle of updates and posts, we are, in effect, reclaiming our mental and emotional resources. Instead of filling our minds with external information, we create space for internal reflection, creativity, and mindfulness. This mental clarity is an invaluable asset in a world that often values distractions over depth. The desire for mental space goes beyond simply turning off notifications or unfollowing accounts. It's about choosing to live in a way that prioritizes the present moment over the digital rush. People who don't post on social media often experience greater peace of mind because they are not constantly battling the urge to check their phones, to react to the latest trend, or to compare their lives with others. Instead, they are free to engage with the world around them without the burden of constantly managing their online identity. This digital detox isn't just about limiting screen time. It's about protecting one's mental health. Studies have shown that the constant use of social media can lead to increased stress, anxiety, and even depression. The pressure to stay connected, to maintain an online persona, and to keep up with the rapid flow of information can lead to burnout. For those who choose not to post, this decision is a form of resistance against a system that demands their attention at all times. It's a way of safeguarding their mental health, giving their minds the freedom to focus on what truly matters: real-life experiences, personal growth, and emotional well-being. Number 4. The impact of overexposure, keeping personal life private. In the age of social media, there's a strange paradox at play. While the world is more connected than ever, the more we share, the less we seem to truly know one another. Our social media feeds are filled with meticulously curated moments, smiling selfies, perfect vacations, heartwarming family photos. But behind this public display lies a growing sense of vulnerability and, for many, a deep discomfort. Sharing too much can feel like exposing oneself to the world in ways that leave us feeling exposed and sometimes even exploited. For those who choose not to post on social media, the decision is often rooted in the need to keep personal life private and protected. In an era where oversharing is the norm, there's something profoundly liberating about maintaining control over what others know about you. By not posting, they are able to preserve a sense of intimacy and mystery about their lives. There's no constant stream of updates for the world to consume, and no pressure to present an idealized version of themselves. This need for privacy is deeply psychological. Privacy is not just about keeping secrets. It's about the fundamental need to protect one's identity and boundaries. When we overshare, we risk losing ourselves in the process, becoming defined by what others see of us rather than who we truly are. People who don't post on social media recognize this risk and choose to safeguard their personal identity by keeping certain parts of their lives private. This isn't a rejection of connection. but rather a means of maintaining emotional integrity in a world that often seeks to erode it. In the same way that we protect our physical space, protecting our emotional and mental space is essential for a healthy sense of self. Posting online requires a willingness to open up, to invite the scrutiny of friends, followers, and sometimes even strangers. While some people thrive in this environment of constant sharing, for others, it feels like a loss of control. With every post, they expose a little bit more of themselves to the world, and the fear is that once something is out there, it can never be taken back. In a digital world where information is forever, privacy becomes an act of resistance, a way of holding onto what is sacred and personal. The people who don't post understand the delicate balance between connection and exposure. They are aware of the potential dangers that come with living a life in the public eye, and they choose to protect themselves from the emotional consequences that can come with being constantly on display. By keeping their personal life private, they maintain a sense of autonomy, emotional safety, and self-respect that is often compromised in the never-ending cycle of oversharing. For them, the reward of privacy isn't just about keeping something hidden. It's about holding on to the integrity of who they are. Number 5. Escaping the performance of perfection, a different kind of freedom. Social media, by design, thrives on the concept of curation. We are all familiar with the polished, often filtered versions of life that flood our feeds, be it a picture-perfect family vacation, an Instagrammable coffee, or a glowing selfie. In this world of performance, every post feels like a snapshot of an idealized existence, not the raw, unfiltered reality of day-to-day life. For many, this curated perfection becomes a psychological burden. The pressure to constantly present the best version of oneself can be exhausting, leaving little room for the real, unpolished moments that make us human. For those who choose not to post on social media, opting out of this performance is a form of liberation. It's not just about avoiding the superficiality of online life. It's about rejecting the very premise that life must be performed for an audience. The act of sharing every achievement, every milestone, every perfect moment can create an overwhelming sense of pressure to meet an impossible standard of perfection. And this is where the freedom lies. The freedom to simply exist without the need to show, prove, or perform for anyone. This psychological need for freedom from performance runs deep. Many people feel an innate discomfort with the idea of constantly managing an online persona. The stress of maintaining an image, ensuring that every post aligns with a certain ideal, can be emotionally draining. It's not just about crafting a perfect Instagram feed. It's about living up to an expectation that is completely disconnected from the messy, beautiful reality of life. By choosing not to post, these individuals free themselves from this exhausting cycle. They can live in the moment, focusing on what truly matters to them, without worrying about how others will perceive them. Moreover, escaping the performance of perfection allows for a greater sense of authenticity. There's no need to embellish or filter reality when you're not concerned with how others will judge you. For those who don't post, life can be enjoyed in its purest form, with all its imperfections, flaws, and inconsistencies. The freedom from needing to create a perfect image opens up space for genuine, unfiltered experiences. They can live without the invisible weight of trying to meet societal standards of success, beauty, or happiness. This doesn't mean that they reject the value of social connection. It means they refuse to define themselves by the curated, often inauthentic representations that social media encourages. Their lives aren't bound by the need to present a flawless facade. Instead, they embrace their true selves, without the constraints of a digital performance. For them, real freedom comes not from gaining likes or followers, but from living authentically, without the pressure of crafting an image that aligns with someone else's idea of perfection. Number 6. The paradox of connection. Is social media really connecting us? In a world where social media is touted as the ultimate tool for connection, it's worth pausing to ask, are we truly more connected, or are we simply more visible? The rise of platforms like Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter promised to bring people together, to bridge gaps, and to create a global community. And yet, despite being constantly connected, many people experience a profound sense of loneliness, isolation, and disconnection. The irony is stark. The more we engage with social media, the more we often feel disconnected from the very people we're trying to connect with. For those who opt out of posting on social media, this paradox is painfully clear. They see through the illusion of online connection and recognize that social media, rather than fostering deep relationships, often fosters shallow interactions. A like on a photo, a comment on a status, or a retweet may seem like a connection. But these digital interactions lack the emotional depth and authenticity of face-to-face communication. People who don't post are often less interested in accumulating a network of digital acquaintances and more focused on cultivating meaningful, real-world relationships. This desire for deeper, more authentic connections is rooted in the psychology of human interaction. True connection is about vulnerability, shared experiences, and emotional intimacy, qualities that are difficult to convey through a screen. While social media allows us to reach out to others instantly, it doesn't allow for the nuanced and often slow-building connections that form when we spend time with people in person. For those who avoid posting, the choice often stems from a preference for genuine, direct communication over the superficial exchanges that social media encourages. In addition, the act of constantly posting can make it harder to stay present in our offline relationships. It's easy to become consumed by the world online, distracted by the need to check notifications, to reply to comments, and to curate an image that matches societal expectations. This distraction can undermine the quality of our face-to-face interactions. When people choose not to post on social media, they prioritize their immediate surroundings, choosing to connect deeply with the people right in front of them, rather than focusing on the distant digital network. The paradox of connection is that social media, while it might appear to bring us closer together, often drives us further apart. The more we post, the more we lose touch with what it means to truly connect, to listen, to share, to be present in the moment. The individuals who refrain from posting are not disconnected in the traditional sense. Instead, they've opted out of a system that values visibility over substance. They are intentionally choosing to connect with people in ways that feel more real, more fulfilling, and less constrained by the pressures of maintaining an online presence. For them, connection is not about having thousands of followers. It's about having a few deep, meaningful relationships that go beyond the screen. Number 7. Trusting the silence. Building a rich inner world. In a society that constantly encourages outward expression, the act of choosing silence can feel like an anomaly. We're urged to share, to broadcast, to be seen, and to be heard at every moment. Yet, for those who don't post on social media, silence isn't a void. It's a sanctuary. It's within this silence that a rich inner world can be cultivated, one where self-reflection, growth, and emotional clarity thrive. In a world where external validation often shapes our sense of self. Choosing silence allows for a deeper connection with who we are. The act of withdrawing from the constant noise of social media allows these individuals to turn inward, to explore their thoughts, emotions, and beliefs without the interference of outside influences. There's a trust that exists in silence, a trust that the most important conversations are the ones we have with ourselves. By opting out of the endless online chatter, people who refrain from posting on social media are, in essence, building a stronger, more resilient inner life. This inner world becomes a place for personal growth and self-awareness. Without the distractions of comparison, the pressure to perform, or the constant influx of other people's opinions, they are free to engage in true self-reflection. Here, they can process emotions, make decisions that align with their values, and explore their own desires and aspirations without the influence of a digital audience. It's a space where authenticity can flourish because it's not being shaped by likes, shares, or comments. It's a place where one can simply be, not for anyone else, but for oneself. The psychological benefits of this solitude are profound. Research has shown that time spent in quiet reflection can reduce stress, increase mindfulness, and improve emotional well-being. People who embrace silence by avoiding the constant demands of social media often experience greater clarity in their decision-making, a deeper sense of self-worth, and a more grounded sense of identity. They are less swayed by the opinions of others because they've learned to trust themselves, their intuition, and their own experiences. In this way, their silence isn't empty. It's full of meaning and purpose. For many, the world of social media can feel like an endless echo chamber, where external noise drowns out the quieter, more meaningful voice within. By choosing not to post, individuals create a space where they can listen to that voice, where they can hear their own thoughts, desires, and fears without the interference of algorithms or societal expectations. In a sense, they trust the silence because they know it's where the most important truths are found. They understand that true connection doesn't come from how many people are watching, but from the depth of the relationship one has with themselves. And that, perhaps, is the most powerful form of connection there is. Number 8, the fear of FOMO and missing out, a different kind of social anxiety. In the digital age, one of the most pervasive emotions people experience is the fear of missing out, or FOMO. Social media has made it easier than ever to be aware of what everyone else is doing, where they're going, and what experiences they're having. The constant flow of updates creates an illusion that everyone else is living a more exciting, more fulfilling life, leaving us feeling left out, disconnected, and even anxious. For many, this fear is a constant companion, feeding into a deep sense of social anxiety and self-doubt. But for those who don't post, this anxiety is often avoided, not by withdrawing completely from social media, but by actively rejecting the need to participate in the endless cycle of comparison. The individuals who choose not to post on social media have, in many ways, found a way to bypass the constant FOMO that so many others experience. By stepping outside of the performance-driven culture of social media, they remove themselves from the constant barrage of updates that can trigger feelings of inadequacy. While others scroll through their feeds and feel left out of the latest social events or trends, those who refrain from posting are not caught up in that whirlwind. They can move through life without the pressure to keep up with everyone else's curated version of reality. This decision can be seen as a defense against the anxiety of constant comparison. Social media has created an environment where our sense of self-worth is often tied to how we measure up against others. What we see online doesn't represent the whole picture. It only shows the highlights, the best moments, the things people want others to see. The reality, of course, is much more nuanced. Yet, it's easy to fall into the trap of believing that everyone else has it better or is doing more exciting things. For people who don't post, stepping back from this cycle can be an act of self-preservation. By avoiding the FOMO-driven anxiety that comes with social media, these individuals are free to focus on their own lives, rather than comparing their experiences to others. They are less concerned with what they're missing and more focused on living authentically in the moment. It's a choice that allows them to embrace their own pace, free from the pressure of being on trend or in the know. Instead of feeling anxious about what they might be missing, they trust that their lives are full of meaningful experiences, even if those experiences are not shared online. In this sense, choosing not to post becomes a strategy for combating the social anxiety that FOMO generates. It's a conscious decision to live without the constant fear of comparison, to step outside the digital rat race and find peace in what's real and immediate. For these individuals, the world beyond social media is where true satisfaction lies, where experiences are not validated by likes or comments, but by the joy and fulfillment they bring in the moment. And perhaps, in this space, they've found the antidote to the anxiety of missing out, living fully and freely, without the need to compare. Conclusion. The people who choose not to post on social media are not outcasts or disengaged from the world they are. In many ways, the quiet visionaries who have found a way to navigate a digital world with intentionality, self-respect, and emotional clarity, in a culture that pushes us to constantly share, to perform, and to seek validation from others. Their silence speaks volumes. It's not a silence born from isolation, but from a deep understanding that true connection, mental peace, and self-worth are not defined by likes, comments, or followers. Choosing not to engage in the digital spectacle is an act of rebellion against a system that equates visibility with value. It's a reclaiming of autonomy, privacy, and authenticity in a world that often demands conformity and perfection. In their silence, they find a rich inner world where self-reflection, growth, and real-world connections take precedence over fleeting online interactions. They have learned to trust that their worth is not measured by the approval of others, but by the integrity with which they live their lives. As we reflect on the psychology of those who choose not to post, it's important to ask ourselves, what is our relationship with social media? Are we posting to connect or to perform? Are we seeking validation from a digital audience? Or are we comfortable in our own authenticity, free from the constant need for external affirmation? The choice not to post on social media is, ultimately, a reminder that silence can be powerful. It's in the quiet moments of life, away from the noise and the pressure, that we often find our truest selves. Perhaps the real question is not whether we should post, but what we're truly seeking when we do. And in the end, maybe we could all benefit from taking a step back, embracing silence, and allowing ourselves to live more fully in the present without the need for constant digital validation.